Hello everyone, my name is Manuel Verduzco. This is vlog number 1 of week 2. I hope you enjoy and learn something from this. Today's vlog, I'm going to share a little bit about me, about presenting, and I'm going to share a bit of my experience on how to resolve a certain situation about giving a speech. First, I'm going to share a time in my life about giving a public presentation in class. Second, I'm going to share the use of my knowledge about delivery to point out what a high school student could have done to give in a better speech. To start off, I'm going to share a story and time in my life when I gave a public presentation in class in high school. When I was in my English class, my teacher assigned us an argumentative essay to go against the opposing side of her argument. And when it was my turn to present, I was nervous. My anxiety started to build up and I was not ready at all. Everyone's eye was directly looking at me. Everyone's facial expression were bored, like they didn't even want to be there. And I was overthinking stuff like, how do I end this and get out of there quick? And it was coming for me. This was my first presentation and I messed it up. Trust, it wasn't easy. So the way to lower my anxiety, the way I lowered it, was by being prepared and by being confident. In a chapter that I read from Fright to Might in chapter 13, it shared there are 4 different delivery styles in speech. The first one was manuscript, second was memorized, the third one was impromptu, and the fourth one was extemporaneous. Sorry if I'm not able to express these, but those are the 4 different delivery styles in a speech. The one that I chose was memorized. When I used this in my next presentation, I nailed my presentation. Everyone's eyes were on me. Everyone was engaged in my presentation. But there was some students, they had facial expressions of boredom, which was fine because everyone else was engaged. They asked questions in the end of why they supported my side of the story. And I was happy at that day that this was a useful thing for me to use. Now that you have heard my story and given a public presentation, let's move on to my use of knowledge of delivery to point out a few mistakes that a high school student made throughout her presentation. To start off, her name was Jamie, and her speech was about how and why we laugh. The first and second flaws that I point out throughout this presentation, the first one was her eye contact and a lot of eye shutting. The second one was the use of her hand gestures. In a video of effective presentation skills and using eye contact to connect with your audience, Sherry Javons shares avoid eye movement, which means don't avoid eye jumping. That's what she shared. And the goal of that was to closely pay attention to that group and have your eye contact on them, then move on to the next room slowly and have eye contact with them for a couple of minutes to share your main points. The point here is not to look at someone, explain your main point, and quickly move to the next person. You have to slowly explain your transition, then move on to your next main point. The second flaw that she shared today was the use of her hand gestures. In a Washington Post on how to use your hands throughout a public speaking, Jane McGregor shares is to use your hand movement descriptively. And what this means is that you have to use one hand to describe the leading of your topic, and the second hand is to describe the fact of your topic. Using these 2 hands gives the audience an idea on what you're telling them, and they get an idea of what they need to know. So, now that you have heard about my story in my time of giving a public speech, and I shared the story of the useful of my knowledge to point out the high school student's mistake and how she could have done better in her speech. I hope that these 2 topics have given you guys an understanding and allowed you to know about my situation and about my experience about delivery. I thank you guys and have a good day.